Oh, good morning. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
Good morning. We missed you all yesterday on a crazy Monday here in Jersey. Um, just a lot of stuff going on, and we didn't make it to the live. Forgive me. I apologize.
Forgive us both.
Forgive us both. But today we're coming out of the gate strong, starting the week strong. We have a guest, and if you've been following along, if you've been watching, you know exactly who's going to be on this Fired Up Live with me. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to let him introduce himself, get a little insight into who he is, what he does. And we're going to have a nice chat. We're going to talk about pub culture, UK, USA type stuff, what's going on both sides of the pond. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of the kitchens, what that's going to look like, and manufacturer partnerships, a topic that is hot, I think, on both sides. So my friend from across the pond, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nick Hughes.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
Good morning and good afternoon. So
Wait,
Nick,
I gotta test you. What time is it in the UK right now?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
5 hours ahead, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nick, give everybody a little introduction. Let them know who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously my name is Nick Hughes. I've worked in the commercial catering industry for, 26 plus years. And predominantly in that time, I've worked in the after-sales side of the business. So spare parts, serviced, all that good stuff. And so live and breathe commercial catering. So understand frustrations from an engineer's point of view, from the end user's point of view, but most importantly, from the manufacturers of how we balance this. So it's, I've been watching your vlogs for quite some time and think it's great what you guys are doing. And I think there's so many similarities which we all share. I know you and I have had discussions before, but
yes,
if you go in repairing a thermopile on a Garland fryer in the US, it'll be exactly the same as it is in the UK. Obviously, just different gases sometimes. But
right.
It's how do we share that wealth of knowledge and help engineers and get the next generation of engineers involved in what we're doing. Sorry, we call them engineers. You guys call them technicians.
Yes. I was going to make that point. Yep.
But how do we globally look at this industry, which has been kind to us all and has given us a great living, etc., etc. And like I say, I know we met previously at NAFEM and things like that, and never really got the opportunity to sit down and discuss things like we are doing today. So firstly, thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking some time. We have some things we're going to talk about. But yes, that was a good point for those watching. We're calling them technicians over here. They're calling them engineers, which I happen to like very much. And also catering equipment. We're kind of just calling it commercial cooking equipment.
Yes, I like catering.
So yeah, I mean, it's just wordplay, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it. So pub culture. We don't really I don't think we really call them pubs over here. We just call them bars, which I like pubs. I like pub. I like that. Let's go down to the pub and blow a hole in a pint. So
you'd fit in really well over here, Rick.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these places. Obviously, we have different chains and whatnot over here. You had mentioned some. I'd like to talk about some of these. So we have what's this Green King? Let's talk about some of these.
Okay. Well, obviously, pub culture is part of our DNA in the UK. It's been around a long time. Just to give you a bit of statistics, not to bore you with it, but at present, we've probably got 40,000 pubs in the UK.
Wow.
And then 40,000 pubs probably could produce something like 22 billion pounds turnover into our economy. So it's a big part of the chunk of money going into the purse every year, every month, every day. And traditionally, it was what it was. It was a pub. It was where people went to drink and meet friends and get merry, as we say. But then, like all good things, it evolves. And it evolved into restaurants and snacks, and how do you bring the family entity into the equation? So it not just becomes where you go and meet your friends. You bring your family along, and they enjoy a meal at the same time. So again, like all good things, and when you've got so many multi-estates, you then get chains which come in and take it over. Not take it over completely, but what you've got is over the generations of smaller individual breweries have now been sold on and made into multinational chains. So a few of them which I shared with you is obviously Green King, Whitbread, Mitchells and Butler, Weatherspoons, Marsden's, just to give you a flavour of a few.
Yeah.
If you look at Green King, it was still probably number one or the biggest in the UK. Apologies to all those if I've just offended, if I'm not correct by them statistics, but you know, they have around 3,100 pubs, catering to all, catering to all different menus. They've been very clever, and they've allowed us, as far as the customer, to have a choice. So within them 3,100 pubs, they'll have different variants. So you could have a pasta and a pizza joint within that. You could have a burger joint, a meat joint, and then you got different price brackets. So they've tried to accommodate the market for all, which I think is a great thing for everybody.
Yeah. Now, what about pandemic? I mean, a lot of things over here are really getting consolidated. When you look at, pubs, bars, restaurants, or whatever you want to call it, you see a lot of things changing over here. A lot of Uber Eats. You look at Uber Eats. You look at Grubhub, DoorDash. Yep. As far as it goes over there, I'd love to kind of get some insight for everyone watching. Is there consolidation now of like ghost kitchens? We were mentioning that a little bit too. That might be going into the future of kitchens, but ghost kitchens and Uber Eats and Grubhub, all these places kind of diversifying and saying, hey, we're going to pull back our footprint and we're going to do this. What's going on with like some delivery over there? How's that looking?
Yeah, well, that's been one of the if there is a great thing out of everything which we've gone through, it allowed people to become a bit more innovative. So let's start thinking outside the box.
Yep.
And some of the pub chains and individual pubs as well, who were very successful businesses, they started to give that delivery option. Now, before the pandemic, I don't think there would have been one pub out there who would have gone, I'm going to make a takeaway menu, because the clientele just wasn't at that thought process at the time. Mm-mm. But again, it's allowed us to think outside the box and say, you know what, if the client wants to order a pint of lager and then he wants to order a burger or a pizza from my kitchen, then I'll make sure that's a deliverable. As long as I can make money and the client gets what they pay for, then let's look at these things.
Yeah.
It's the only way which they've had to survive. I mean, it's like everybody in the hospitality industry. It's been a tough 18 months. And, touch wood, we're all coming out of it the better side, not just financially and building up the piggy bank again, which we all need as a business, but allowing us to really think, hold on, is there a way to do this differently? What's my future going to look like with the next generation of clientele walking through that door? Because they're not always going to be my age or your age. They're going to be the next younger generation who may not want to go to the pub to drink. They might just want to go and have a lemonade or whatever, and something to eat. So they've got to try and accommodate what that next generation looks like, and it's changing, it's evolving. I don't know what it's like in the UK, in the US, because obviously I'm based in the UK. But when you look at the next generation, the 18 to 21 year olds, they certainly weren't like I was when I was 18 to 21. They're into keep fit, and they're into all other things, and they see health as being their driver. They don't look at it as if they're going to go to the pub on a Friday night and spend, a good part of £50 on beer or spirits. So all that has got to be taken into consideration with any business. So it's very interesting how COVID has obviously had a huge effect on us. But it's also interesting to see how we can really adapt and develop, and how we can change our norm.
Yeah, and that is true. Like, same thing for me. I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
46.
46. Okay, so we're not too far off. I'm 39. So the same thing. By the way, Mom, I didn't have a fake ID. I didn't. So yeah, I mean, we were doing some different things back then, but yeah, now I think things are changing, things are shifting, and we're on the go more than ever. I think I mean, we're always on the go, but doesn't it seem? I don't know, Lisa too, right? I mean, don't you feel like everything's just quick? We want a quick grab, quick go, quick, but we also want quality.
Yeah.
So and we want healthier. So I think those things. Now, this is a great way to move into the future of the kitchens and discuss kind of the footprints. We were talking a little bit about Mary chefs and turbo chefs or whatever. Shrinking the footprint, maybe a combi oven. The UK, US. Again, I think we're probably very close in a lot of the things we do. But what are you seeing over there in relations to these footprints shrinking and the customer base wanting faster, high quality stuff?
Well, you've just said it. The quality of the food has got to be paramount, and not only the quality of the food, but the quality of the service. And as we get more faster and pace of life speeds up, we should still encourage that service aspect of it. Because at the end of the day, we're in the hospitality industry. If we can't get this right, we might as well just shut shop and not bother. So service has always got to be paramount. But I think when the next generation of the equipment footprint changes and the accelerated cooking becomes more of a dominant, which it's not, I don't think it's there at the moment. I think people are testing the waters with it. But I think once the new generation and the next generation see and embrace the capabilities of these machines, I think that's when people will really see the value, because they will start to prove that the concept can work. If we look at a combination oven, whether that's a Rational, Convatherm, Angelo Pole, Fayor, they've all got the capabilities of cooking a pizza. And again, people will shoot me down for this, but as well as a pizza oven, providing you've got the bases in the oven, which most of the manufacturers sell with the product as an extra, I agree. But the quality of food which comes out, to me, I don't really taste the difference. I've been to exhibitions like you where these manufacturers are handing out pizzas, and I'm thinking, crikey, that's a good pizza out of a combi. Now, at the moment, your traditional chefs are saying, I'm not going to cook a pizza in a combi. I've got a pizza oven. So that's the way I'm going to go. But the next generation are going to go, well, actually, this makes sense. I can do 90% of my menu off this one machine, which means the cost of startup is a lot less. The cost of repairs is going to be a lot less. And the most important thing is them as a footprint. They're only having to have so much space in the kitchen rather than a huge space in the kitchen. And again, going back to your point, as long as the quality of food is where the standard should be, then these changes are going to come through. I don't think it'll happen overnight, but I think it will be a generational drive.
Yeah, and I'm we're seeing a ton of that here. With the combi oven technology. I mean, it's being adopted by everybody at this point. I mean, you see a ton. We're doing a ton of installations on combi ovens, and it does everything. I mean, you could do London broil, you could bake cookies, you could do vegetables. I mean, you name it. You could put a pizza in there. You could smoke. They have smokers on top that you could smoke. I mean, it's so diverse, and that's what we're really seeing a lot of here too. And I think over the next 5-10 years, you're going to see a lot of these, like same thing. You're going to see a lot of these kitchens really shrinking. It's going to save a lot on costs and energy and everything else that goes into running these kitchens. And to be able, like you said, the overall ownership of repairs, the cost of ownership on this equipment, when you shrink it and you bring it down to here, you're really going to make your uptime much greater, because you're going to have less equipment. The service company can react a little bit better because they're not coming into a kitchen with 20 pieces, and now we might actually have the parts. So it's going to change a little bit first time fixes as well, I think. But before I go on to the next thing, it's a little off topic, but Chris Rowling has a question. He's down in Florida at Oasis. And he says he may have missed this question, but how is the talent pool, new hire platforms, and challenges with service engineers? So what are you seeing with hiring technicians, finding new technicians, What are you using? And I don't know if you know what people use. We use Indeed here a lot and stuff like that. What are you seeing as far as that goes?
Yeah, well, it's a good topic. Every company or service company at the moment is out after good engineers. The unfortunate side of things is we're similar to you. We're probably 5 years behind where we should be in the training program and getting the new lease of life into our industry. But we've got to deal with it. And to answer, Chris's question, we're going through the same pain, unfortunately. There's a lot of engineers out looking for jobs. Some of them are good engineers. Some of them are probably not fit for the job. If you understand where I'm coming from. But it's something we're trying to tackle. We've got good organisations in the UK, like you have in the US, like CEFESA and FEDD. We've got CEDA, CISA, and we're trying to challenge that together. And I think we've got to stop worrying that knowledge is power. Which is what we've all gone through for the last so many years. Because if we're not careful, the knowledge and the power, which of the engineers of a certain age, will be gone because they'll be retired or they'll go and do something else. And that's the challenge of us now: is how do we keep that knowledge and how do we adapt it to the next generation? It's unfortunately there's no training school for a catering engineer. If there was, then there'd be a quick fix, I think, and we could turn things around a lot quicker. So what we're having to do is take engineers sometimes from different industries with a certain skill set, and then try and change them into a catering engineer.
Yes.
But as you guys know and appreciate, this takes time.
Yeah, it does.
But, it's good to see companies working with technologies which you and I are very familiar with. I don't want to start selling that to you, but we all know that there's things out there which allow that training process to probably accelerate a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and you said something about the knowledge is power, and I think this industry, we're so old school thinking. Looking back to my dad's generation, he's a baby boomer, and just, harboring all that in because we can't let these other outsiders know what we do or how we do it, because then they're going to take everything from us kind of mentality. And I think it's quite the contrary. If we're out here, like me and you were talking openly about things, and I've had a lot of open conversations with guys like Josh Zolan and Roger Smelser, and we're doing this online, the more we talk about this, I think you're going to find that the people that are already in this industry have the knowledge. Okay, we already know what's going on. We need to impart that to the next guy or the next girl coming up in this thing, so they understand what opportunities are here. Keep everything quiet. Don't say anything. That's kind of, I think, one of the reasons we're in this position where nobody's coming in. They don't say anything about anything. We run this market. We run that market. You run this market. Yeah, well, guess what? These markets are going to be really in a whole lot of trouble in the next decade if we don't start getting some of these engineers, technicians coming up through the ranks. So yeah, it's.
I hope that answered Chris's question, but it's an issue over here at the moment, and it's getting a bigger issue. And I suppose the worrying thing is because of my role in the job I do, I don't just work with the catering industry. I work with HVAC and I work with air conditioning.
Yeah.
And the worrying aspect is that this is across all sectors. So, there's got to be a peak somewhere. And when you hear of engineers earning set amount of money per hour per day, you kind of, at some point, we're not going to be able to justify these charges to the client. And before long, it'll just implode on itself. So we've got to be a little bit smarter. I still think there's a market to take a certain ability of an engineer on and train them up into a catering engineer. But with our industry, you're not just a gas engineer anymore, are you? If you're going working on a combi, you've got to have a mechanics background, you've got to have electronics background, you've got to have programming background, you've got to be gas or you've got to be electric. It's just a minefield. But there's a lot of times where I see what I'm going to class as wasted knowledge. So where we send a super skilled engineer to go and replace a door switch, that's where I think we could work a little bit smarter. Let's take the semi-skilled guys to go and do these jobs. It'll make companies more profitable. We'll probably turn around the jobs a little bit quicker as well. And at the moment, we need to increase the downtime of the machines. We can't continue to have a 2-day or a 3-day repair. It's got to be instant, especially if we're going to go down the lines of, more singular machines running a kitchen. If that one machine goes down, they're not cooking anything. So, the repair and the downtime of that equipment has got to be kept to a minimum.
Yeah. So we got Lori here who says,
we need to help the next generation with our knowledge to help grow our industry. COVID changed our culture in food and hospitality, the designs, teamwork.
So yeah, we need to help the next generation with our knowledge, which we were saying. Yeah, I mean, and what you were just saying too. Talking about the technology aspect of it, and being able to go from gas and steam to electric. There's just so many different things that a technician or engineer is in 2021. They're also therapists, and they're also salesmen and women. I mean, there's so much that they are. And so it is. I think it is going to be a collective thing, as Lori says, teamwork. I think teamwork means, for me, it's got to be a global thing. I mean, we got to talk to our friends in the UK. We got to talk to Nick. We got to talk to our friends in Australia, like Scott and Yassine and all those guys. We have to talk globally about this because it's going to be affecting the world. I mean, it's really more serious, I think, than people think. The skilled trades, and not just the food equipment space, plumbing, electricians, carpenters, welders. You don't really know how bad you need them until they're gone.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think that's important. But let's roll into some manufacturer partnership talk, because this is something that is definitely, I'm sure, going on both sides of the pond here. We've been talking about a lot of the things that haven't changed in decades. I had a great talk with Dan Deibler on one of our chats here. Manufacturers and service partnerships. This is for me where the rubber meets the road in the industry. The sales portion is done. The training is done. Now the equipment's in the field. We're the last line that everyone sees. We're the last ones that people remember. And we're representing the manufacturer. So who do they remember at the end? They remember XYZ manufacturer and my company. So yeah, what are you seeing over there? Any pain points or different things you might be feeling with us?
Again, same. I could just go on and on and on about the manufacturers over the last few years, and it hasn't always been their fault. So I'm not trying to point any fingers, but they used to be our training schools of the industry, because back in my day, Hobart would have their own technicians. They still have, so I'm not going to point fingers there. But so would Electrolux, so would Rationale, so would everybody. It was part and parcel of you being a manufacturer. You would have a service division of a part of that manufacturing. Now, 90% of the time it's subcontracted out to great companies like yourselves and Josh's and companies in the UK. And what we've lost is that interaction between manufacturer and service technician. So what we need to build is the knowledge base so it pushes both ways. There's so much information manufacturers could share, but at the moment nobody's seeing the importance of sharing it. Whether that be exploded diagrams so we can diagnose the spare parts, or just simple how-to videos. It wouldn't take the manufacturers a long time if they analytically looked at what their repairs have been on their machines and then said, what, guys, out of all these machines, we think we can narrow it down to 100 videos of how-to fixes. So if you've got an engineer who's struggling out in the field, at least he's got something to back up and help him on. Because they're the inventors of it. They're the ones who've designed it. They're the ones who manufactured it. So they've got a responsibility to make sure the after sales of it is kept to the standard which it should be, way up there. If I was a manufacturer, the first thing I'd be looking at is what's my after sales going to look like on this, because that'll be future sales. And I think what COVID has has brought to us is that manufacturers are looking at things differently as far as how do we make our after sales better. So, they're seeing the importance of after sales now. And, today I've literally been with two manufacturers, one in the HVAC industry and one in the catering industry. Again, I'm not going to mention names who they are, but these are people coming to me saying, you've got this tool, which we both know what it is. We might as well say X or Y. Absolutely. How do I make this better for my business? Because at the moment, I've got no structure behind when my machines are being installed because X, Y, and Z does it. So how do we make some workflows so when the service company are going representing me, they're going through the set standard commands which we have set. So first of all, we want to see the machine level. We want, in a rationale world or a Angelo Paul look the world, we say that there's got to be a ton dish fitted to the back of the machine. Okay, we want to see a ton dish fitted. We want to see that it's got the right gas hose fitted on it. All these things become warranty issues if it hasn't been correctly installed in the first place.
Correct.
And unfortunately, because of the industry working in HVAC and in catering, there's a lot of distributors who buy machines in bulk and then sell them on the internet. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great business. But the manufacturer loses who the customer is at that point because they never really understand where that machine has got to. Whereas if we can build this platform which allows them to get eyes on site without physically being on site, then they know that the machine is going to be installed to the workflow patterns and their expectations. And there's possibilities we could even sign it off at the end so the commissioning is done by the manufacturers. These things are all possible, and it's nice to see that some manufacturers are embracing some technologies which are available. So I think there's a lot more work to be done, but I do think that manufacturers are starting to work with us. You've seen that with the guys in the US, and it's all positive things. It's just going to take time, and we've somehow got to build this universal data bank. Because, like I said earlier on, whether you're fixing a thermopile in the US, UK, America, Australia, Canada, it's got to be the same fix. It's got to be the same principles, and engineers got to learn by the mistakes where they undo that screw too much in first and then everything drops out. They never do it twice, do they? But if we can try and build these learning curves into the daily cycles by these how-to videos, and I don't think it's also got to be just pushed by the manufacturers. I think there's a lot of distributors which could learn from the HVAC industry in the US, where they are sharing this knowledge now between themselves. And that's where I'd like to see it coming from as well.
Yeah. It's been kind of interesting the last 5 to 7 years with all the things happening, obviously. And I try not to name too many names, but we all know we're in this industry. There's a lot of consolidation and acquisitions, and I get it. I understand, people are trying to streamline things and cut costs and be more profitable. We're in business. We're all looking to be more profitable, but at what cost? At what cost is that? You're talking about, to your point earlier, when you're saying about after the sale, aftermarket sales, all these things that are going to come down the line. I think there's a lot of small, not, I don't say small-minded, but the picture is really small sometimes, from the field, from a technician and a service company's perspective, when it's like, hey, listen, this customer had this problem, and they say, bill the customer or do this, and we can't get through to the manufacturer, and we can't get through to somebody that actually knows. It slows things down. It makes us look like we don't know what we're doing, when in fact we're just kind of tied up with politics sometimes. And these parts, yeah.
Go on, sorry, Rich.
No, I was just these it's supposed to be a partnership, and understand that the technicians and any manufacturer will say the technician is the eyes and ears for the manufacturer. They are giving you insight, and we're talking about X or Y. We're bringing the video, we're bringing the picture, we're bringing everything that they need to the table to understand the situation. And sometimes, okay, well, maybe the manufacturer's going to have to come out of pocket a little extra for this and a little extra for that. But man, what kind of bad taste? And there's so many instances that have happened over the last 18 months that have just left a lot of bad taste in customers' mouths. I have to jump on phones with people and talk them off ledges and say, listen, this is how it happened. This is why it happened. It's not normal circumstance. Maybe it is, but I'm trying to keep these people here because I want them to buy the other piece of equipment too. I want them to keep buying it. I want to be there for the repair, after the warranty is over. I want to be there for the long term. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of struggle going on, but I think if we keep talking about it like we are, we're going to start opening some minds.
I think so. And I think the more, the problem is, going back to what you just said, is when there's bad service given, unfortunately, in the subcontracting world, it's always the service company which gets the bad name first. And I don't think that's fair when we're trying to represent the manufacturers who aren't representing us with the technologies and the knowledge which we need for them to share. And it goes down to, whether that be spare parts availability or just technical help. And this is, I think, what will be the tipping point of our industry will be some of the good engineers will all of a sudden leave it because they will go, you know what? I can go and get another job down the road becoming an electrician or a plumber for the same money and less hassle. And that is something as an industry we cannot afford to lose this knowledge. So we've got to keep the engineers. They are the life and soul of our service industry, and we've got to listen to them and we've got to help them because
yes.
A app or a diagram or a how-to video is another tool in their toolbox to use. And I think we've got to remember that because we can't expect them, like I said to you before, to be the Superman of every fix because everybody has the capabilities. So I think manufacturers are slowly but surely coming on board. And I think we could quickly turn it around as far as how we build this information could be done collectively.
Yeah. So we have a comment from Sydney Lara. What's up, Sydney?
Techs are visual learners. Manufacturers need to make more videos available for quick, easy access and not be punitive for not carrying the manuals, whether digital or manual.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's and not to plug ourselves either, but Fed, with the Fed Group and Fed Media, we've already done training videos with one manufacturer to get things started. And we're looking to talk to a couple of more. That's something we want to bring to the table for Fed members to have access to, and those how-tos. And it'll take time to build those and accumulate them, but we have time. So we need to start somewhere. And I think, having those how to, and we're doing that with XOI, with the knowledge base, you're going to see that in the knowledge base there. So that'll be accessible to technicians that are on the platform. So there's a lot of things coming. I think we have to stay a little patient, but we have to continue to do the work.
Yep. Agreed. The other thing which I think there's still a marketplace for is to try and triage some of these fixes before we even dispatch an engineer.
Yes.
Our industry's changed. Thankfully engineers are no longer looking for gas leaks with a lighter and a burner torch, but things like that for the right reason have changed. But the overall principle of how the client reports the fault in the first place is exactly the same. They pick up the phone and say, hey, my fryer's not working, and we send an engineer 10 miles, 100 miles, whatever it is, to go and fix it before even asking a set amount of questions. And I just think, that's nuts in this day and age. Come on, let's start to think a bit smarter. If we could triage the call and maybe get a video of what's happening to the machine before we send the engineer, to then send to the engineer before he gets to site, so he can say, oh, it's a rationale or it's a whatever it is. I'm going to need my step ladders for this job. So before I go and park my car in the multi-story car park 3 blocks down, I'll make sure I drop my step ladders off, my drill, and I know it's going to be 2 or 3 fixes. So I'll get them spare parts out of my van at the same time. This is making us more efficient. The engineer will be happier because he's not having to get to site, then walk back to his van to get his step ladders and all these things which he goes through every day, which are the frustrating bits of the industry. you know, we can change it ourselves by introducing these little fixes, which would make life easier for everybody. But the overall deliverable to the client has got to be key, because, you know, I just said it before, the next generation, they won't want to pick up a phone and say my fryer's broke. They'll want to go on an app and say, this is what's happening. We then give them a triage of questions to fill out. And then we then say, okay, we definitely need to send an engineer. Or if you do this, we could probably fix it for you. And this is how we've got to be smarter. And this is how, you know, and you've got to have the tools to be able to do it. And I think we've definitely got the tools to be able to achieve these wish lists, which were always wish lists, which can now actually be fruition.
Yeah. And that's the truth with the technology. We have it. We have capabilities for this. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, you know, error codes coming down the line. And like you said, these truck rolls, keeping customers up and running. That is the business that we're in, you know, keeping people up and running and staying profitable. And imagine we had, you know, like I said, the next generation. I don't even want to talk on the phone anymore. I'm like, why are you calling me? Just text me, you know. Yeah. But it is that way. This is the new world, and you know, like it or not, the whole industry has to adapt. And it's, again, we're slow moving in this industry, but the pandemic did give us time to really, you know, spark some new thoughts and move that throttle a little bit faster than I think we would have. But I mean, the truck rolls, I would love to have the opportunity to get that video, to get the picture, to get all these things sent and be able to roll with that motor and that thermostat or that gas valve or whatever it is that we're going to need to get that thing done. And I think a lot of this is going to have to be cultivated through the manufacturer and the service companies working together to understand the pain points in there, the challenges, and overcome them together. We got to get a little bit stronger. We got to talk more. I think there's not enough communication. You know, oftentimes there's so many things going on with all these big sales for these chain accounts, and they're out there making, you know, we don't even have a seat at the table, and they're making, you know, guaranteeing this and they're guaranteeing that, and they're saying they're talking for us, and then they come back to us and send us a sheet of paper and say, here, you have a 15-minute response time to call them, and then you have a 24-hour response time for this, 4 hours for this. I'm like, when we weren't at this meeting, you know, so just in those things too, we have to talk more. There has to be communication. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to do, but you know, I am very hopeful. This industry, like I said, it's given me everything. I have a very big love for it, and I want to give back to the industry as much as I can, and that's part of what we're doing here, I think.
Yeah, and I think you're right on key. It's keep up the good work. I think it's great what you guys are doing over there, because it's the only way we're going to really accelerate what we're trying to achieve. Yeah.
So, Nick, any closing words or thoughts over there? And
I mean. The positive thing is obviously we're starting to come out of the pandemic, so it's allowing people to breathe a little bit again, and it's just great to see. You know, it'll be nicer as the time goes through, and hopefully we will go back to some sort of normality very quickly. But yeah, we're just, like you just said, we've got to keep talking, we've got to keep communicating. You know, what I would like to see is when the next time I go to NAFEM or Host or these great exhibitions which we have worldwide, and even here in the UK, is we should have some service technician seminars, part of those, because that's when everybody's under one roof. That's the opportunities for us all to get together and listen, not just from the end user's point of view, but also from the manufacturers. Like I said, everybody has a wish list, but it's us who's got to make it deliverable. And if it's not physically possible, then we need to be brought to the table to say these are the reasons why, instead of us getting hit with a stick going, oh, you're being the obstacle in the way. Well, not really. You can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. So, you know, there's always been a link in the chain missing. You know, the manufacturers try the hardest to get the chains or the individual customer to buy their product. But at the same time, we should be somewhere in the middle saying, actually, guys, if we did this, you could probably get another 12 months out of your machine. Or if we did this, there's loads of things we could assist with, but we just never seem to get the opportunity until it's too late.
Yeah, agree. And so talking about NAFM and hosting, what's travel looking like for you? Are you able to get out and travel, or?
We can, but we're still going through the traffic light system at the moment. So we got the red, the amber, and the green. But the problem is it's fluctuating so quickly. So 1 minute a country's on a green list, so you go and book a hotel or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's on an amber. So yeah, we're still at early stages on that, but hopefully we'll start to see some changes. Very quickly.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see you come down out to Arizona and come to Fed conference. I'd love to have you there, be a part of what we're doing. And I obviously I'm going to be in NAFM in August. Obviously, I guess you guys won't be able to do that a little too soon, but yeah. So hopefully travel will open up and we'll be able to see you at some point.
Definitely, and maybe you come over here. I'll show you the pub culture.
I would. Me and Lisa were talking. We want to come. I want to put on an event over there. Like we should definitely talk for something maybe later next year, even doing something.
Definitely.
I've never been. I've been across. I've been to Ireland. I flew into Dublin. I did that, but I've never been to London area and all that. So I would love to do that.
Yeah. Well, you'd be more than welcome. We'll go and see these 40,000 pubs.
We'll go on a 40,000 pub crawl. I'm in.
Definitely.
I'm going to start practicing now. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Nick,
like I say, it's been a pleasure being on your show, and like I say, thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure's ours. Thank you very much for the time. I enjoyed the conversation. And for those of you watching on the replay, if you have any questions, please shoot them in the comments or DM myself or Nick, and we'll be happy to answer anything going forward. So, Nick, thank you for joining. We'll talk soon, my friend.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a great conversation.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed that one. We're not all so different, Lisa. Our neighbors across the pond, our neighbors to the north. I know we're all in the same boat. We're all feeling the struggles. We're all feeling the challenges. We're all feeling the love. We're all feeling the craziness of trying to get the calls and trying to sell equipment and trying to get manufacturers to get equipment and logistics and supply chain and just everything of
the industry,
just everything, right? Shifting, and it's wild. But we are all really very similar, and I think that's a good thing to know. We're all we're not alone. We're not on. No one's on an island, and we're working hard, and we're talking about things, and we're bringing things to light. And this is the first of many chats with Nick, I'm sure. So, Lisa, what else? I think that's it for this live.
I think so.
We've done it all.
Just an FYI, I don't think you know this, but we will be going live with Terry Kelly on Thursday.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just hearing this.
Either Thursday or Friday.
We're going live the end of this week.
Yes.
Thursday or Friday with Terry Kelly of Electrolux Professional. Electrolux Professional, by the way, in case you didn't know, I keep talking about it, but maybe you didn't hear it. So we're going to be putting on a Fed event, Top Golf Orlando at NAFM. Electrolux Professional is the sponsor. So we're going to be getting some people together. We're going to be smashing some golf balls, eating some food, drinking some drinks.
Injected donuts.
There's some kind of injected raspberry donut thing, something. I don't know.
About that.
We're excited for the donuts. Who cares about anything else? We're getting donuts.
And barbecue.
I hope it's good.
Right? It's a family style barbecue.
It's something. Something like that. So that'll be good. So again, Electrolux Professional will be sponsoring that. And I'll be talking with Terry Kelly, the man over at Electrolux Professional later this week. And I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I have a feeling it's going to be about NAFM.
Kind of, yes.
And I have a feeling it's going to be about what's going down at Electrolux Professional.
Yes. I think it's something about accessories.
There's some interesting things you're not going to want to miss. I'm not going to keep you here any longer. Thanks for joining us on this live. Stay fired up. It's Taco Tuesday. Have a taco. Be good to each other. I'll see you mañana.